them. The creator loves them. So lucky that no on a bright sunny day, and maybe some of you, for you it would have been like coolest days and all, but still you have braved enough to come to the session. Really, I mean, I appreciate that. And again, once again, welcome back. Fine, guys. So you have taken your hardship last 2 days. Been hearing my lectures. So by now you would have got an idea on HTML, and I have shared the material also. Sophia, have you shared the HTML material which I shared yesterday?
No, sir, I will do it
Yeah.
tonight.
Share.
I promise them that I will do it now.
Please share. Don't worry about this what you call as plagiarism and all. There won't be plagiarism there. So you please, it's all, I have written that personally, so you can share it with them. It's a small material, HTML insight it will give to the audience. Okay, today also I will share the JavaScript material. Please share. The topic we are going to today see is JavaScript. Now I'll tell you there are three things totally which we are going to learn. One is HTML, one more is your JavaScript, and third one is your web services. So all these three things put together is what we are calling today as dynamic web applications. So we are not seeing complete, but we are at least getting an idea of the entire stuff. Fine. So enough of theory. Now let's get into action. Let's look into find this particular subject called JavaScript. See, the JavaScript was created somewhere in 90s by a person by name Brandon Eek. He's a very famous personality. He was one of the programmers in Netscape company, and then later on promoted to CEO, to the level of CEO. Now, as I was telling you right now, Musa ibn al-Khawarizmi is a Tabatabin, and he came up with algorithm. Believe me, all great things can be done only by great people. Now, you would have you go and check their background. It's not education especially. Not everybody can do wonders in education. Brandon E. Fine stood for justice in a big problem in Netscape, and of course he was checked out from Netscape because he stood for a cause. Fine, for him it was right, so he stood for that. Within 6 days of his CEO, he was removed. But whatever it is, like I mean, after he left, there was a big death, and people really suffered. And of course, the Great Depression of 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, I personally attribute to the loss of Brandon. But anyway, later part, fine, ECMA, one organization, took over JavaScript. We call that as European Computers Manufacturers Association, and they then groomed JavaScript to a level what we have today. What Brandon E created was a structured programming language, but in fact it was little bit object based also. But now like we have this as object oriented programming language, and it's pretty powerful, pretty powerful. In fact, it is equally competing with Java. It's not like not add-ons, not like a side dish. It has become a main course in many cases. Amazon has completely shifted from Java to JavaScript. Quite possible, quite possible. That's the power of this language. So the version we are going to learn is ES6, ECMAScript 6. I'm going to make it quick, and I'm going to go with complete demonstration. I have a PPT for this, but instead of PPT, I'll go ahead directly with the demonstration. PPT, I'll give it to you instead. Okay. Now, some of you might be new to programming, but I'll tell you in a very simple way how programming is done. See, in any programming language, irrespective of Java, JavaScript, C, C++, Python, whatever it is, there will be input, there will be a process, there will be an output. There ends programming. There will be input, there will be a process, there will be an output. Input, all programming languages take in something called as variables. I'll tell you how it is. Your mother receives milk from the milkman. She takes a vessel. He puts the milk in the vessel. That is the variable. That's the variable. Vessel is the type. Vessel type, fine, variable. It has a name. It has a data. Fine. So it holds that milk, and then she goes inside. She makes tea. She makes coffee. She makes buttermilk. I mean, curd, whatever it is. She processes that, and she generates outputs out of it. So first let's finish off this input, how to take input in JavaScript, how to do a process, how to do an output in a pretty simple way. Take the PPT seriously and try to improve on that. I guarantee you, believe me, it's not me who's making this easy. Programming is easy, it's natural. That's how humans are by nature. So make use of this and ensure that you are able to grab this. Okay, it's a quick session, so enjoy this. As I said, I have a PPT, but I will not go through the PPT because they had enough theory. Obviously, you need some practical, right? So we'll do this directly in the demo. So PPT, I'll share it with you. Okay. So first and foremost, how am I going to write a JavaScript? I will remove this. So inside your body tag, you can have a script tag, and within the script tag, you can have all your JavaScript programs written. Okay. So the first thing which we are going to see is how are we going to see the, or rather declare the variables. Variables are primarily data types. So you need to know the different data types we have. See, in JavaScript, there are only three variable types. One is where, another is let, one more is const. Only three data types. But believe me, this is how we declare. But internally, JavaScript understands numbers separately, strings separately, booleans separately, null objects separately. It has its own engine to understand. Now, what is the difference between where, let, and const? Const is a constant, which means it cannot be changed. Once declared, cannot be changed. Let is what we called as a local variable, and it is a new thing which is introduced in ES6. This is generally, or you can also call this as find block scope variable, and this is called as function scope. Now what exactly they are, we'll come to it later. No, just memorize this. This is going to be no interview questions many a times. What is the difference between let and where? If one line, if you want to answer, even if you don't know anything, you just say let is block scope, where is function scope, const is constant. We'll see now how they differ. Now inside this script, first to start with, I will make use of where and declare a variable. For example, I can say where age equal to 20. Now giving a semicolon makes it as a one token. Now how do you read this sentence? 20 value is assigned to a variable by name age of type where. And what type it is? Number type. So JavaScript understands this. See, not every language has that ability to understand at runtime. But believe me, one of my favorite after Java is JavaScript. My favorite is Java. But JavaScript I love because of its runtime abilities. I really love that, to be honest. Like, I've not loved any other language like JavaScript other than Java. So it has runtime abilities. For example, I'll show you that. Like, let's say I can also declare a variable num1, and then I can say num2. Fine, let's say 10. Now if I'm going to say console.log of num1 plus num2, you may be wondering what is console.log, sir? Very simple. You want to print something here. Can you see this console in the bottom? So you want to print something here, like I have already printed, see 30, like that. If you want to print something, I'll clear that. If you want to print something, then you can use console.log. Log is logging, log there. So this is the easiest way to test your JavaScript. So I've declared two things. Now let me run this. See here, I got that. See, it has understood that these are numbers and you have to do addition. You have to do addition. But the same thing, if I'm going to give it as a string, fine, in double quotes, my JavaScript understands that this is a string. So in that case, num plus num2 will convert this into find a concatenation rather than addition. See this? It will become 2010. See, this is a super duper ability of JavaScript. It automatically identifies, understands who you are. Like it is artificially intelligent, not artificial intelligence. I'm just telling artificially intelligent. Fine, enough to understand what type of data you are supplying. Likewise, you got booleans, you got null and all. We'll come to that slowly. But as of now, understand this is how I declare a variable. And what console.log is doing? It is logging the message here. You can log any message you like. Got it? Am I making sense? Okay. The next very important thing in JavaScript is, sir, this is internally a number only. Can't I read it as a number? Yes, that is also possible. That is also possible. I can, since this is a number, fine, I can convert this into number also. I can also instruct JavaScript, boss, this is number only. It has come as a string. You better convert or look at this as a number. If you want, you can do like this. There is a method called as parse int. Parse. Parse means what? Read it as int. Parse means read. Read it as int. So I can even convert a number to a number in case if the number is coming in the form of a string. See this? It will be that. Making sense, guys? Fine. See, very simple language. As I said, you don't need to master it now, but get to know the basics. You will master this in no time. If you are going, if you go through my PPT, honestly, I'm telling you, tonight, if you sit for another 2-3 hours, JavaScript will be a cakewalk for you after this session with just my PPT. I would request Sophia to know, please share the PPT to you all. Fine, it's my PPT. You can just have a look, and it's a small one, and it is just a tip of an iceberg. JavaScript is the ocean. Well, at least you can say that I know JavaScript with that PPT. Getting it? Okay. So here we have declared a variable, assigned a value. We have also done a small arithmetic operation. What are the other operations you can do, sir? You can do multiplication, divisions, subtraction. Fine. All these things are possible. For example, you see here, these are called as operators. See, operators. What is this slash slash? This is a comment. Any language, you need to have non-programming instructions. Fine. You can give it as a comment. Fine. So you can also say like this: console.log of, let me give it as this so that I don't need to provide this parse. It will take it as number. I can also say num1 fine into num2. This arithmetic operator. Fine, multiplication. Getting that similar division, subtraction, you can try it out. We call this a DAMAS. Division, addition, multiplication, subtraction. Right? Okay. Apart from this, you also have something called a relationals. You can say console.log of, just I'm checking because I want to print that, show you. So I'm using console.log. But console.log is not mandatory to do an operation. I want to show you, so I'm doing this. So you can also say num1 equal to num2. What do you mean by that equal to? It checks whether both the values are same. If so, this is called as a comparison operator. Equal to is an assignment operator. This is a comparison operator. Now this particular guy will show you fine false. See here. But if I'm going to have this also as 10, then this will return you true. This will return you true. Makes sense. Now, what are the other relational operators you have, sir? Obviously, you have something called as find lesser than, greater than equal to, lesser than equal to, not equal to. This is only thing which you need little info. Otherwise, it's pretty simple. Not equal to will return false because they are equal. Okay. Last. So two operators, arithmetic operators, relational operator. Arithmetic is plus, minus, addition, division, multiplication. What is a relation operator? Equal to is a comparison operator. Lesser than equal to, greater than equal to, fine. Then not equal to are relational operators. Then last one is logical operators. Logical operator is ampersand and R. Pipe symbol R. For example, 2-3 conditions can be clubbed together. For example, you can say console.log of fine num1 equal to 10 and num2 equal to 20. Now this will return find true if both the conditions are true. Whereas both the conditions are not true. Num2 is not 20, 10 it is. So obviously you will get it as false. But if I'm going to give it as pipe symbol, pipe is R. So if I'm going to run this, it will tell me true because either R. Num1 should be 10 or num2 should be 20. One is satisfied, right? So we call this as truth table. So true is true in case of ampersand. Even in case of or it is true. True false is false in case of ampersand. True false is true in case of or. False true is true in case of or. False true is false in case of ampersand. False false is false for both. We call this a truth table. You can refer what is truth table. This session is recorded, right? So even if I speak, you can go and revise this and catch hold of this. Okay, please do the revision. You will make it very easy because you are learning a programming language first time, right? Some of you, not maybe many, not all of you, some. So for them, I'm asking them to repeat. I'll tell you it's simple. Believe me, have faith in you, have confidence in you. You are the best. Have that feeling. Go ahead. You'll be able to make it. So congratulations. You have learned what is variables. You have learned what is relational operators. You have learned arithmetic operators. You have learned even logical operators. Makes sense? And you also learned casting. You know, this is called as, this I said, right? This, if I give it as this, so how do I convert that to string? We call this as parseInt with a function by name parseInt. ParseInt is called as casting. You cast a string to a number. You cast a string to a number. You do that using parseInt. Makes sense? So data types, fine. Casting, you have learned. Arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators you have seen. Is that simple, guys? So now for some people who are new to this, don't worry, they are pretty simple. So take your time, go through my PPT, go through the net, little bit, like half an hour to 40 minutes you spend, first timers. You will be able to learn this just like me, guys. Have faith, as I said. Check. So now let's move on to the next thing. Apart from programming, apart from accepting data, the next thing which we have in any programming language is processing. And believe me, processing is done only by two ways. Only by two. All programming languages. I am talking very common. All. One is either you have a conditional block or you have a looping block. That's it. These are the only two things which you are going to have to do the processing. Condition means you'll have find a branching. If this, do this, else do this, else do this, like that. Looping means do the job continuously. So for conditional branching, we have totally three guys. One is called as if, else, if. Number two is we have a switch case. Number three, we have a ternary operator. See, we have a less time, so we'll only look at two things: if, else, if, and ternary. Switch case you can study. Have faith. Believe me, it's pretty simple, and you are capable of learning. And next thing is while loop, do while loop, for loop. I'll cover for loop. Believe me, honestly speaking, I'm telling you, programming is not tough. If you spend another 10-15 minutes on that, you'll learn it just like that. So one sample I'll do, another sample you learn. Give and take, kind of. Okay. So now let me show you. First thing, the conditional blocks. And this is common, guys, across the programming language. See, understanding is one, syntax is another. If you understand, syntax you need to memorize. So like, for example, let's say variable age equal to find 20. I can say if condition syntax. If age is greater than 18, fine, you are eligible to vote. Else, if not, see the syntax. If there is a bracket and then I evaluate an expression, I evaluate whether age is greater than 18. It's the evaluation, expression evaluation. And it checks true, means print that, execute that block. If false, execute the other block. So here you say log No, you are too young. Oh, I think the people also getting elections, I believe, very sooner or later. So here we are. Yes, you are 20, you are eligible to vote. In case if I reduce this to 10, fine, then obviously it will say you are too young to vote. These are if else. Okay, makes sense. The same thing I can also do it with ternary operator. Why I'm covering ternary also is this is little tough. So understanding it will make it easy for you. So if I teach, it will make it easy for you. So here I'll say variable result equal to ternary operator. I'm saying fine. I'm evaluating an expression question mark. Fine. Question mark. I'm saying age greater question mark is the ternary operator. Then I'm going to say eligible to vote or one colon and then no. Now see this. This is the evaluation expression and question mark. I'm evaluating the expression. This is says you are eligible to vote. In case if this is true, this comes. If it is not true, this comes. Okay, not true, this comes. Make sense? Fine. So let's run this. So I need to print that, right? I didn't print. Console.log of result. So whatever you are going to give, that value will be stored in the left hand side variable, this value. So that is going to get printed. No. Right? So if I'm going to make it 20, so here it's going to different. Making sense, guys? Am I easy for you? Fine. I hope see even for people who are new to programming, fine, can at least correlate yourself on what exactly this programming is. And again, I'm repeating, you have an input, you have a process, you have an output. Input you have learned variable. Now process I'm telling arithmetic operator, logical operator, relation operators are used. And how do you use them? In two ways. One is you use it in a conditional block or you use them in a looping construct. So here you are conditions. So two things you learn, if else if. Hope you understood the concept. Now complicate this law of Confucius, confuse this more so the previous problems will get solved. If you think that this is tough, make it more tough. Then this will become easy. That's the way we learn, right? So if else if, and the second part is the ternary operator. So again, let me go ahead. So this is with respect to your if else. Okay, what is the other thing we have? For loop, while loop, do while loop. So I will cover for loop, which will make it easy for you to understand. For our right now, for doing our programs, we can survive with this. Learn switch case, learn while loop, do while loop. They are very pretty simple. You will make it little more better. Okay. Now let me go ahead with. Don't worry about the code and all. All these codes are available in my PPT. So the next thing is for loop. So for loop syntax is this: for variable I equal to 0, I is lesser than 10, I plus plus I'm saying. Now what do you mean by this? So I want to run this loop, run a sentence, run a program 10 times. How? First thing I'm assigning I to 0. Then I'm checking whether I is lesser. Three parts are here with a semicolon. Then I increment. So what happens is until the value reaches 10, this loop will continue. For example, I can say find value and I'm concatenating this I. This is concatenation. Now if I run this 10 times, the console.log will run and the value will get printed from 0 to 9. When it comes to 10, it gets disconnected. Okay guys, am I making sense? Fine.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is for loop. How it works? Let me again reiterate. First variable I equal to 0. I is lesser than 10. It comes here, prints. It does not increment that time. That's the reason we are getting 0. Now it's a loop, right? The loop continues. This time it increments, then checks, prints, then increment, checks, print, increment, checks, print, increment, check, print. So initialization happens only once. Initialization happens only once. So first time initialization will happen, condition will be checked, printing will happen, then again the loop continues. This time I plus plus. What is I plus plus? It's called as an increment operator. I plus plus is basically I equal to I plus 1. It's a programming term. We use it in all the programming languages. It's called as incremental operator. You can also have a decrement operator. For example, see here, I can say 10, I can say greater than 0, I minus minus. This called as decrement operator. Now what will print? First I value will be 10, then of course, fine, I is greater than 0, so I minus minus. So first it will print 10, then it will become 9, greater than 0, 9, then it will become 8, greater than 0. So 10, 9, 8, 7, like that, it will get printed. See this? Making sense? Congratulations once
Yeah.
again, guys. See how simple it is. Do you really think it is tough? Tell me. If somebody has distanced himself or herself from programming, believe this, guys, believe me, it's not tough. We have set our mindset like that. It's tough. And the best part is, this is the highest paying industry. Programming is one of the highest payment industry. And if somebody, that's the reason I told in the start, I go and tell, I mean, people who are working in primitive jobs, but they're graduates. So those type of students, I tell them, boss, you have an opportunity here. You are earning 10,000 rupees. In your case, no, like say 300, $400, fine, working whole day with so much of no labor. Now you put little bit of effort on your brain, you can learn. That's what I'm telling. So believe me, guys, it's been proved and it's proven all over the world. Anybody can learn programming, and it's so simple. I won't say like no, just like that. No, you have to put efforts. I agree, but you can. See, you have learned now very fast that input is done through variables, and you know how to declare a variable, how to accept a value, and so simple to do addition, deletion, and all. Logical comparison you can do, relational comparison you can do. Then you have come here, you have learned three things now. If else if, then ternary operator, then you also learn for loop. How much time it will take for you to learn while loop, do while loop, and switch case? I can learn, I can teach you that also, but you can learn on your own so that I can teach something else. Got it, guys? So congratulations, we have learned, fine, actually speaking, we have learned input, process, output. Now with what we learned yesterday, HTML, can we do some real exercise, small exercise in this? Fine, look at it. In JavaScript, if you want to write something, you can write directly under script, but the best way to write is write it inside something called as functions. Functions means a set of code can be written in a in a block, and the block can be named so that it will be easy for you to call that name. For example, you can say function is a keyword, and then you can say something made. This is the syntax. This way, how you can give a name for a block. If this is the block, this is the block. What is the advantage of block? Many lines of program can be written inside that block and can be referred by this name. Can be referred by this name. And see, previously I wrote everything without that, right? So everything gets executed. But now I can choose what I want to execute. So met1, this is another block. So first block name is met, second block name is met1. So here I can say console.log of met is called, and here I can say console.log of met1 is called. Now if I don't use this function, if I directly put console.log, both will get executed. But now I can specify, if I call met, only the first one will get called. But if I call met1, only the second one will be called. Only if I call both, you can call both also. Fine, met and met1, then both will be called. So makes sense. What is this concept called as? Functions. Now this is how we demarcate code in JavaScript. So simple guys. See, previously you wrote everything in one without function. So we learn now. For loop we learned, if condition we learned, ternary operator we learned operators, we learned how to declare variables. Now I can write programs. But before you write programs, you should know that you don't want the entire code to be executed all the time. You would like to brief them under a block. And if you brief them under a block, then you should know that you have to give a name for that block. So this is the syntax. So this block is named as met1 with parameters, you have to say, brackets, and the keyword function should be used. If you do so, you have created blocks and you have given name for the blocks. Now with this understanding, shall we do a small thing? I'm using a function called add. I'm using a function called del. I'm going to use a function called fine mul. Right? So this guy is going to say fine addition is fine, and this function, this block, I'm going to pass some values n1 comma n2. This is called as parameters. This is called as parameters. A function can also have additional advantage, parameters, and these parameters I can very well do some processing. See the best part of this. You know what is that I'm trying to write? I'm trying to write functions which will accept some values and do some, sorry, this is subtraction. Do some mathematical operation. And this is going to be again here also n1, n2, n1, n2. And here I would like to write, fine, this is subtraction. This is multiplication. So here I am going to say, okay, I will not call this. If I want, I can call and check. How do I call? I can say call add, fine, 10 comma 10 or 20, fine. Now if I run,
I think line 12.
oh sorry, by mistake I did so. Yeah, thank you. Here we are. Superb, right? Now, yesterday we learned a little bit of HTML, right? Can we integrate HTML with this? Because that's a very reason why we are learning JavaScript. Because we want to give the view some sort of brains so that it need not be dumb. It can produce some result. So here, yesterday I didn't taught you this, but in the study material I have shared. In HTML, apart from the simple tags, we also have something called as form tags. We have form tags. Like for example, you can say a form fine, and you can have buttons. Input form means basically you see forms, right? In when you go for a website, you see forms. Text fields will be there, combo boxes will be there, radio buttons, check boxes, drop down list, sliders. Fine. So that is what we call as a form. And you can also see buttons there. And all these components of HTML have something called as events. Now every component can be associated with an event. For example, button means you click, checkbox means you click, text field means you type, combo box means you select. Do you do or not? So for all those actions you perform, you can call some JavaScript method. So how do you marry this event with a function? Pretty simple. We have a beautiful event driven mechanism in JavaScript. I told you JavaScript is like such a sweet language. Everything is given ready made for you. So you have a super duper attribute called as on click equal to, which is ready made for you. You don't need to think how it's all available as a piece of cake for you in this particular language. You just have to use this, and then you can say add, find here the value equal to addition. See this, guys, what we have done. So input type equal to button, on click equal to add, and add my I'm passing 10, 20, value equal to addition. So if I'm going to this, I will not have. Now if I'm going to run this, so you have a addition button. You have addition button. If I'm going to click on this, see, congratulations, you have integrated a HTML form with JavaScript. Can we have similar buttons for multiplication and other guys? Value equal to multiplication, and here I'm going to have this as mul. Fine. So if I'm going to say this, congratulations, the next multiplication is also ready. Similarly, can I have one more button? And here I'm going to say subtraction. Making sense? Making sense, guys?
Mhm.
See how
Yeah.
simple it is, right? Looks interesting now. Now, if you see, I can make it more complex,
If
but let's
we
finish
have
up this.
time, can
Hum.
we try to take input from the user?
Yes, very much, very much. You can also take an input. Like for example, there are many ways to take an input. Let me show you some simple ways. Huh? One of the ways. Of course, I'm reading it like a parameter, right? Fine. I can very well declare. I can declare here. I can give a name for this. Name equal to F1. Okay. Simple way I'm saying. So here I can say input type equal to text. Name equal to num1. There is one. Then input type equal to text. Name equal to num2. I can see like this. Okay, so instead of instead of getting it as a I can also pass it as a parameter, but I would like to read this here. How? Variable, let me remove this. I'll make it very simple for you because we didn't learn many things still. So I'll say like this: variable n1 equal to f1 dot num1 dot value. Similarly, I would say variable n2 equal to f1 dot num2 dot value. This is the most simplest way to read a find text field value. This will be two text fields, and this is identified by this name. F1 is the name of the form. This is the name of the text field. Dot value will read the value of this. So I can very well do addition. Shall we try this out? See this? If you want, you can also say number one. See this? So here I can say 100, fine, 200. I can say addition. Oh, what has happened? It has done concatenation. So what should I do? I should do typecasting. Then it will be converted to number because everything which is accepted over internet is string. So how do I convert? We learned it, typecasting. So parse int of this. Am I right? Parse int of this. Now let me run this. So I say here 2020, fine, 4040. I do addition. Congratulations, you have successfully created a calculator. Is that making sense? Happy? See how quick
Thank
it is.
you.
It's really, I mean, see, I really, uh, I'll motivate you to the maximum extent. Go ahead, explore this. You'll love this. You'll love this.
I I have one question I wanted to ask at the end. Um, but okay, so these scripts, can we store them somewhere in a file? Because when we
Yeah,
get some issues, then my developers, say that because of the some JavaScript file is interacting, that's why we're not rendering everything.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't got your question fully, but all are you asking me that can we store a JavaScript file somewhere?
Yeah, here under we're writing in a script, right? So do we
Yes, yes.
store
Yes,
the
you
file?
can
Okay.
very well. You can very well do that. You don't need to keep it here. There is no compulsion.
Okay.
So what you can do
Okay.
is we have an option called as write this file as a .js file. .js file, and then you can say script type equal to text like JavaScript, src equal to the path.
Okay. Okay. That's what I see. Okay. Thank
So
you.
you can very well know, we call this as what right now it is called as embedding JavaScript. That is called as linking, object linking and embedding, OLE concept. So OLE mein we are embedding. If you want, you can link. So we call this as external JavaScript, and this is internal JavaScript. Okay, quite possible. Okay, good you asked this question.
What is your name? It's written as AQ. May I know your name, please?
My name,
Amina.
Shoaib. Acha, so
Amina?
it's
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Amina. Sorry, sir. I was just trying to
Nice.
interact with her.
I thought some student is asking. Okay, fine. Good, good. So, congratulations. You have learned a little bit. Shall we move on further? Okay. Apart from my functions, JavaScript has plenty of ready-made functions. Shall we try some of them? Lot of ready-made objects are there with plenty of functions. For example, let me show you some. Let me show you some. Say I'll remove this. Fine. There is a object called as window, and this has a lot of functions. Like for example, there is a function called alert. Fine. How are you? So this will create a alert box. Could you see that? I mean, okay. One second. One second. One second. I'm sharing history. Okay. See here. So here I say window.alert. If I run this, see, are you able to see this alert box? This is called as alert. You would have seen in many websites, you'll get an alert box. So that is possible window. And what is window? Window is a default object. Window is a default object. Likewise, do we have some more objects? Yes, we have. Find a lot of, like we saw console, right? And window is a default object. So even if you don't give window, it works. Okay. What are the other methods we have, sir? Do we have some more methods? Yes, you do have. Like for example, there is a method called prompt. Fine. Please give your age. Now see what happens. So I say here, this is alert, this is prompt. So I say age. I can also accept a value. How? See this variable a equal to, and I can say console.log. This is also one more way by which you can accept input parameters. See this? This is prompt. Sorry. There's also one more. Confirm. Press OK to continue. See this? If I run this, press OK to continue. Right? In fact, here I will get a reply. I will get true or false. See this? Are we getting true? Similarly, if I'm going to click on cancel, I'll get false. So if I click cancel, super bright, there is a window object. Fine, makes sense. Fine. Apart from this, you also have some methods are there. I'm just thinking whether to cover that or not because, okay. See, there is one method called as set timeout. Set timeout. Set timeout is another method, right? Which calls another method. Like for example, we can say so I can have a method, a function, and 2000 is after 2 seconds. It says after 2 seconds. So here I'm saying console.log of find met called after 2 seconds. There is one method set timeout which calls the function called met after 2 seconds. See this? We need to wait for yes. It's a very powerful method, guys. I don't want to go in detail, but know that this is a very powerful method. And similarly, you got one more method, set interval. And same, I can call a method after 2 seconds, and you know the best part is it will keep on calling. Every 2 seconds it will call. That's the difference between timeout and interval. Timeout will call after 2 seconds once. Set interval will call, fine, after every 2 seconds, continuously, like a loop. So after 2 seconds, now look at it. Tack, 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 tack. It will keep calling. Is it getting called? After every 2 seconds, it will keep getting called. So this is called as 2000 milliseconds. Getting that? So like that. Now why do we need this? Now just to give you a small idea of that. See what happens is when you run a loop, your browser gets hanged. This is a problem with any language. Any language. When you run a loop, any language, the program gets halted. So you cannot do any typing or anything. But if you're going to run a loop through set timeout and set interval, then advantage is you can do your work and this will run in the background. I'll show you that. See this? That's why I say very important. I mean, if you are looking at as a programmer, what is very important is you should know how to do things in this way also. See here, I can have an input type equal to text. Okay, I run this. So I get here, right? Now the loop is running. Correct? At same time, I can even type. See this? Am I able to type? You see that in the text field? I'm typing. Loop is also running. See here, loop is also running. Loop is running and I'm typing. This is the power of this particular method. Getting it? Because knowing how to run a loop is important, but browsers, you know very well, lot of processes will run. At the same time, your browser, if it hangs, then what will happen? I mean, you won't be able to work with your websites. So we run loops generally in set timeout and set interval, and then we continue working with forms. Yes, guys, got an idea on these basics? Fine. We got a short time of 1 hour, so we did our level best in understanding this. Now I'll share the PPT to Sophia. So please have a look at it. I would appreciate if you could ask me your doubts over the WhatsApp group, right, rather than in the class tomorrow. So it's a weekend, right? So kindly work on the HTML, kindly work on the JavaScript, even the basics. If you could say that, no, yes, I learned a bit of JavaScript, I learned a bit of HTML, I'm successful. Getting it? So all the very best. Thank you very much. Any doubts from today's session before we wind up? Is that okay? Good.
Thank you.
Good to go.
Thank you, sir.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate
everybody,
it.
for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.